34-23. Penn State out in front now. Here is Sanders. He'll dribble around near the top of the key, guarded by Reeves. Will dish off to Issa Chom, left wing. Chom's trying to dribble around, looking for somewhere to go. Has to shoot or pass. He'll get it underneath to Candido's size. He'll lay it up, hook shot, no good. Rebound Watkins. And again, Rutgers cannot score. Here is Reeves now. He'll dish it over to Watkins. Watkins fakes a pass, going to drive inside, and lay it off the glass, no good. Rebound Chom. And now it's Corey Sanders coming the other way. Sanders near the top of the key. He's going to step back, take a long three off the front iron, no good. And it's going to be rebounded by Stevens. Penn State with the ball now. Stevens taking it up the floor, guarded by Chom. Stevens going to drive in, whistle on the floor.
It's carrying.
And he traveled. Some subs coming in for the Scarlet Knights. Eugene Amrui stepping in, as well as Suf Mensah. Deshaun Freeman with 3 fouls will take a seat. And Corey Sanders also will take a seat. Suf Mensah, as we mentioned, has not played much today, only 3 minutes. Does have an assist on the day, though. Let's see if he can provide a little spark. Not really a scoring threat off the Rutgers bench, though.
And I think Corey Sanders came out of the game because that was not a very good shot. Early on in the shot clock, just something that you don't need for Rutgers. You're not trying to get any style points here. You just need a bucket. It doesn't really matter how it comes, but you really don't want to be shooting that early in the shot clock.
Here's Gio Baker. He'll hand it off to Issa Chom. Going to dribble around to the right wing. And now it's Suf Mensah. Mensah driving around. Gets it back over to Baker. Baker dribbling around right wing. He's going to drive near the baseline. Laying up off the glass. No good. And it's going to be rebounded by Shep Garner. And Penn State, again, great defense on the Scarlet Knights.
And there was some contact there between him. I believe that was Gardner as Baker was driving to the bucket. That wasn't called.
Here's Garner now for Penn State, guarded by Baker. They'll find Julian Moore. We'll get it back over to Tony Carr near the top of the key. Carr dribbling around, finds Reeves for 3 on right wing. No good. Rebounded by Moore. Dish it back over to Reeves. He's going to lay one up, and in it goes. Josh Reeves is hot. And it's now a 34-23 lead. Excuse me, 36-23 lead for Penn State. And you know the timeout on the floor. It's the under 16 media timeout. Rutgers trails big now here in the second half for 15 and a half to play. Make sure to keep it locked. You're listening to Rutgers men's basketball here on 88.7 WRSU-FM and online at WRSU.org. Back here at the Bryce Jordan Center, Nick Kosko, Tim Catalfama for Rutgers men's basketball. Rutgers trails 36-23, has not scored in the last 7.5 total minutes of game time, as we have 15.5 to go in this ball game. And during that layup for Josh Reeves of Penn State, he was fouled by Eugene Amarui. So Reeves will go to the line for a second three-point play. He already has one in this second half. So again, Rutgers not doing themselves any favors. They are 0 of 7 to start the second half. Nothing seems to be going right after the halftime adjustments, Tim.
And Steve Peichel was not happy about that call on Omarui, and I have to agree with him. There was barely any contact with him underneath the basket. The play was almost over at that point. Reeves had already gone up for the shot. Omarui was inside the restricted area and just barely touched him as Reeves was finishing completing the layup. So I don't agree with that call, but now Reeves is at the foul line for another shot.
So here is Josh Reeves to complete the three-point play. He does. It's a 37-23 lead for Penn State. Rutgers at one point only trailed by 5 going into the half. They now trail by 14. Here is Suf Mensah now for the Scarlet Knights. He is near the top of the key, guarded by Garner. Dish over to Gio Baker, left wing, underneath to Amarui. Amarui trying to dribble down, get by Stevens. Amarui will step around, lay one up, and it is good. And finally, after the skyhook shot, Eugene Amarui ends the scoring drought. 37-25 now your score. Rutgers cuts the lead to 12.
And that's why I said early on in the first half, why isn't Eugene Omarui in the starting lineup? You need points from him in the paint. One of the very few players who has done that consistently. I just don't understand why he doesn't get more playing time.
Here is Reeves now for Penn State. Trying to get around a screen. Dish over to Tony Carr. Thought about a three. He's guarded by Mensah. Carr trying to dribble around here on the right wing. Now guarded by Sa and Mensah. Here is Garner. He'll chuck up a long three, airballed it out of bounds as the shot clock wound down to 0. So Rutgers forces the turnover, and much needed, Tim.
Yeah, certainly. Nice defense there. Shot clock was winding down. I don't think Penn State even realized that the clock was down to 3. So now they got to get a bucket here in this possession, make good of that turnover.
Here is Suf Mensah. We'll get over to Baker on the right wing near the bench. His underneath pass goes up to Chom, and he's going to lay one up, and good. Issa Cham cuts the lead to 10 now. Back-to-back layups for the Scarlet Knights, 37-27.
And again, nothing fancy, just basic basketball. Get the ball inside, get it to either Omarui or, in that case, Cham, and have him do his work on the paint.
Here's Reed. This is Stevens for Penn State. Guarded by Omarui. He'll hand it off to Garner near top of the key. He wants a long three. It's going to go off front iron. No good. Rebound by Sa. He'll dish it over to Mensah. Long pass for Omarui near the baseline. He is not fouled. That ball just went out of bounds.
Yeah,
and it'll be possession in favor of Penn State.
Yeah, and Suf Mensah saw Eugene Omarui, and he saw him just a tad too late. And as he was going back to throw that pass, I kind of winced a little bit because that was almost too late. When you see him, you got to get it to him immediately. Mensah should have just dribbled the ball up the floor and not forced the issue there.
We mentioned the short bench for Rutgers. Suf Mensah doesn't usually get too much playing time in the rotation for the Scarlet Knights, but in the absence of Mike Williams, he's going to have to. He's Rutgers' third guard. Not really a scoring threat. He's more known for his passing. That time, just misfired. And here's a steal by Omarui on Tony Carr's going to lay one up. Reverse layup, no good, and a rebound by Mensah, but a whistle on the floor.
Yeah, it's going to be a foul there on Reeves, and I don't know about that. I didn't see any contact, actually. Maybe that's a makeup call by the officials, but I'm not sure really what the contact was. Omarui just missed the layup.
Omarui went up and over for that layup, still missed it. Mensah tried to clean up, but at that point there was a whistle. I'm looking for the foul. We're looking at the replay.
Wow.
I didn't see any contact, Tim.
Like I said, possibly a makeup call, but now Omarui's got to knock these down from the line.
Well, he'll nail the first one, so it's now 37-28.
And that's the third foul on Reeves, so he's now probably going to have to come out of the game as he does now for Shep Gardner.
And he's been a spark plug for the Nittany Lions. But he'll have to take a seat now, as you mentioned, Tim, with 3 fouls. Omarui now for his second free throw. This one is up on the way, no good. And it's going to be up in the air. It's going to be rebounded. It's going to go out of bounds on the Rutgers bench in favor of Penn State. Soriano with wrist control on the right side, looking to bring Schnupp to his butt. And he'll get him flat now. Soriano going back to work here. Using a spiral ride, and he looks like he's going to cut Schnupp loose. He will. Shot by Schnupp. Soriano will try to re-attack. He's going to throw Schnupp. Almost throw him to his back, but he'll get the takedown again. A 6-3 lead for Nick Soriano. And now Soriano
cradle
using a crossface, grabbing the far arm, trying to cradle up Schnupp. Has the right arm.
Looking for Soriano to go to a Turk here, potentially, by the way. He has that far arm and the near leg.
Soriano trying to just turn him over, using a bunt, trying to go for the bundle arm, but now he'll go across, looking for a head in the side cradle, but could not get it. He'll flatten Schnupp out now. 30 seconds to go in the first period. Soriano again going to the crossface, trying to get the far arm of Schnupp. Crowd wants a stall on Schnupp. He's not doing much. Soriano trying to pry out that right arm now. And he's going to almost use that as an arm bar, but they go out of bounds. Soriano, I think if he had a little more room.
Actually, it was potentially dangerous.
Was potentially dangerous. My mistake on that one. Soriano brought the arm up a little too far up the back.
He actually was also bringing it off the back, too. That was really why they called it.
Well, I mentioned Rutgers in their black singlets with the red backs. Penn State in their blue singlets with the white stripe around the waist. Down to 3 seconds down in the first period. Soriano controlling this one. Over 2 minutes of riding time. End of the first period here. Nick Soriano with a 6-2 lead. And we'll go to the second period. Soriano will have choice. He chooses to go down. Schnupp will have to go on top here. And Schnupp, all right, talking to the referee, aiming for blood time. And now we will have to wait for the start of the second period. Slight break in the action.
And Coach Pritzlaff is standing basically on the R, talking to Soriano. You know, he wants to go back out there and start wrestling.
Not a homecoming, but maybe not even a revenge factor match, but Soriano is facing his former school today after his true freshman season ended with injury last year. Was ranked number 3 at one point last season. Soriano, the quick escape, and it's now a 7-2 lead for Nick Soriano over Devin Schnupp. 1:46 to go here in the second period. 2 minutes and 5 seconds of riding time for Soriano. Fake shot by Soriano. Schnupp counters with another fake. Soriano trying to snap him down. He'll attack the right side now. Soriano trying to finish him, looking to throw Schnupp. He throws him by, gets the takedown. A 9-2 lead for Nick Soriano, looking to pile on the points early. Soriano now going to work on the right side, trying to pry out that right arm. Has wrist control. Trying to pry it out for an arm bar or across the back. He's lifting the left leg as well. Schnupp not turning over easily, but he's not doing much to get out. Soriano now hooking his left leg over Schnupp's right leg. He's got the arm across the back now. Soriano looking to do something with it. Schnupp up to his knees. Soriano will cut him loose. Shot by Schnupp now. It's 9-3 Soriano. Soriano's going to re-attack here. He'll throw him by, circle to the back, and get another takedown, 11-3. And Soriano's going to pile it on now. He has a front headlock, but looks like he's going to cut Schnupp loose again. 11-4. Nearly 3 minutes of riding time for Nick Soriano. Here's a shot now. It's a single leg shot on the right side, trying to switch to a double. Schnupp has a whizzer in. Soriano looking to elevate the leg. He's going to grab the right ankle, looking to finish. He does. 13-4, Nick Soriano.
His re-attacks are just the best I've ever seen. He'll shoot a shot, his opponent will sprawl, immediately back on the leg for easy two for Soriano.
Well, what's interesting is the majority of his offense is from re-attack.
Right.
Well, they'll go out of bounds, and the period will end. A 13-4 lead for Nick Soriano, the true sophomore, undefeated on the season, 18-0, and the number one ranked wrestler in the country. He's going to go a freestyle start to start the third period. Soriano will go on top. And go freestyle start. He's going to cut Schnupp loose again, but he'll immediately re-attack with a shot, and he's going to finish this one. Another takedown. So it was 13-5, now 15-5 in favor of Soriano, a 10-point lead. Riding time at now 3:20. Soriano comes out to the front, cuts Schnupp loose again, 15-6. They're on the far side of the mat, shot by Soriano. Schnupp defends. Soriano again back to his feet, looking to re-attack, looking for an opening. 1:26 to go in the match. There's a shot by Soriano. He's going to throw Schnupp to his back, but he rolled to his belly. Do we have a count? No. He'll get the 2 points for the takedown, but no count for backs. It was close, but Schnupp was able to roll to his belly. He'll get out for one. Soriano will re-attack and shoot again. It was 17-7. Now it's 18-7. Scoring is coming fast.
Now the scoreboard says 19-7.
I believe
which is the 12-point differential, but riding time is locked. So if he gets another takedown, he actually needs 2 more takedowns. So
here goes Soriano trying to get a tilt on Schnupp, but he was a little too loose here. 45 seconds to go. Score says 19-7. Here's another tilt by Soriano going out in front. A big smile from Nick Gravina on the bench. He's showing the Jumbotron. Soriano now going for the pin. Here it is. 30 seconds now for Soriano. Looking to lock up this cradle with a pin. Does he have it? Trying to hold him down to the mat. They want it. Is it there? He's got 24. Soriano.
He needs to lean back more. He's too far
trying
forward.
To finish on the boundary. He got it. There's a pin. Nick Soriano gives Rutgers 6 points after the first bout. Nick Soriano now 19-0, and what a statement in his first match as the number one ranked wrestler in the country.
Pleased to welcome in now Jason Bryant, the founder of Mat Talk Online. Jason, how are you this morning?
Digging myself out of about almost a foot of snow here in Minnesota, so just call it a typical Tuesday.
I mean, we had a bunch of snow back in Jersey just a couple weeks ago, and it was, believe me, we were digging out of maybe about 2 feet, so definitely a challenge, but definitely a typical day for you. Let's just get right into it. We'll start off with Rutgers wrestling, obviously. They're coming off a tough loss to Nebraska over the weekend. Penn State's next on the schedule, and, that's no easy task. Penn State ranked number 1 right now, and number 1 guys across the board. This Rutgers team is obviously missing Anthony Ashnall, and they've had some inconsistency at the upper weight. So, in your mind, how do you rank this Rutgers team so far this year, and what do you make of their results so far?
Well, I think with the coaches poll that gets released, actually, as we talk on the phone right now, they're coming in at number 18. That's probably where they're at as far as a dual meet team ranking. You look up and down the lineup, you've got Soriano's the super stud, but when you look at their rankings, you're anywhere between 11 and 15 for guys like Nick Gravina, Elzar DeLucas. So as a dual meet team, you're going to have those up and down type of results. But When the postseason hits, we'll see if Richie Lewis can hit his stride. He's only got 2 losses all year. They're to the same guy, Alex Marinelli from Iowa. And you kind of follow Richie's progression based on how Marinelli progresses. He's a redshirt freshman out of Iowa, so we don't really know how good he is yet because he hasn't hit those hammers. So I guess as Marinelli rises in the rankings, Lewis will kind of follow based on his 2 losses. Suriano, of course, the unanimous number 1 for most of the ranking services. Actually, that's what unanimous means is all of them. But, I'd say the results for guys like Suriano is not surprising. We knew how good he was. I mean, you don't go through the state of New Jersey with the type of credentials that he did in high school without being able to have that type of success on the next level. But, I think there were some high expectations. If you throw Ashnault in there, you may be looking at maybe a top 10 type of team ranking in dual meets. But come tournament time, those guys that are sitting in that 12, 13, 14 range are going to be right there knocking on the door for All-American honors. So, it might be a little disappointing in terms of on paper, but it's the nature of college wrestling. Everybody's getting better. The depth is better than it's ever been. The Big Ten is the meat grinder of Division I wrestling. So I think some fans are expecting, every year in, year out, you've got to be top 5, top 10. That's hard even for the best programs. There's only about 4 or 5 programs that do that traditionally. So to go beyond, the Iowas, the Penn States, the Oklahoma States of the world, and now the Ohio States, it takes a tradition to make that happen. So I'm not too disappointed in terms of what we expect to see with Rutgers right now. It's just, they're kids. They're still kids. They're getting better. And wrestling is not an easy sport. It's not like you can be 100% of the time.
Now, you mentioned Richie Lewis and Nick Suriano. Let's start out with Lewis first. They seem like the 2 best shots for Rutgers to get All-Americans this year. Maybe throw in Nick Gravina later in March as well. But sticking with Richie Lewis right here, he's now adjusted to 165 after making the bump earlier in the year. He's knocked off Anthony Valencia, and he just beat his Isaiah White over the weekend. And as you mentioned before, his only 2 losses this year are to Alex Marinelli. But do you ultimately see him on the podium in March, and how deep do you think he can go?
I think he's got a real good shot because what Richie Lewis brings to the table is something that I think a lot of Jersey wrestling fans are aware of. It's something that's very traditional and almost part of the wrestling culture there in New Jersey, and it's swagger. Now, Richie Lewis has a confidence about himself. People say that athletes can be cocky but not confident. No, Richie Lewis is both, man. So he'll bring that to the table. It's kind of a fearless attitude. Like, he takes a loss, he's gonna brush off his shoulder and be like, all right, I got you next time. He's tenacious, and in adjusting to the weight, it would be really cool to see him be a title threat. Or Jason Nolf's there at 157, so to say he would be a title threat might be a reach in some fans' eyes. But at 57, he would have been probably a real threat to make the finals, finish top 4. And at 65, settling into that weight again, there's things that you can teach with technique, but he's got that swagger. And then sometimes it's about attitude. So I think the ceiling for him, he can definitely make a run. That's a tough weight. I mean, it is a tough weight, and he's got to clear that Marinelli hurdle because I don't think Marinelli right now is going to be challenging those guys for a national championship just yet. Probably the later part of his career. We're talking about a freshman here, but Lewis, and he's wrestled at the national tournament in terms of the junior college level at Iowa Central, so he's seen high-level competition. He won a U23 World Championship, so he knows how to win, and he's got that swagger. So that might be that X factor for him really placing high this year.
Now, let's switch over to Nick Suriano. Now, in light of Spencer Lee's upset of Nathan Tomasello, Suriano, as you mentioned, also was named the unanimous number 1 in all of the polls. Do you think that is the right choice by everybody? I mean, I know there was arguments for Darian Cruz, even though Suriano beat him last year, but he is the defending champion. I mean, so I even saw some people that argued for Spencer Lee to be number 1 at this point. But do you think everybody was right in making Suriano the unanimous number 1 for this week?
Having done rankings for a long, long time, I'm not in that game anymore, but a lot of it varies on opinion. I think there's a definite case for Nick Suriano to be number 1. There's a definite case for Darian Cruz to be number 1 because, wrestling fans know that the All-Star Classic is an unofficial bout. It does not count on your record. And some people have a different mindset of what that particular bout means for Cruz. Would he have tried to go across on a suicide cradle in that position if it was the NCAA finals or a semifinal or a dual meet to try to win the match? And that's all conjecture in terms of, the mind of an athlete. The loss is the loss, but it doesn't count. The NCAA seeding rankings aren't supposed to use it for their coaches' panel rankings. All the media polls are free to use it whatever they want. But I think when you're arguing Suriano versus Cruz, you can go back to last year and know that Suriano had that big win when he was wrestling for Penn State. But Darian Cruz went through a minefield of the postseason. And kid, it is something about when you win, and you place high, you start wrestling like it. You see that jump between a wrestler who's not an All-American, then they place 5th or 6th that next year.